So every once in a while, you score a great deal, and I love scoring great deals. Super stoked. I was scrolling on Instagram and saw a guy, I think the handle's at Riverside Rods and Relics. Thank you so much. Anyway, he posted some magazines for sale. He's cleaning out his garage and said he had a whole bunch of vintage car magazines. I've been looking for vintage car magazines. I have projects I want to do with vintage car magazines, and he said he had a whole lot. The video had like a box and a milk crate and some laid out for like $100. From what I counted, there was at least, I don't know, I figured a couple hundred magazines. Let me show you what I just picked up. 4 boxes of vintage magazines going back to the 60s. Can't even fucking lift this box of magazines. There's so many in here. I mean, seriously, I was not expecting that many magazines. I hit the mother load. All right, so I unloaded all the magazines. The boxes were too heavy. I actually had to take them out of the box and brought them in. I got them all lined out. The gentleman that I bought them from, I mean, his ad post said, you know, cleaning out the garage, and I mean, it cleared up a lot of room because this shit's all over the place. There's a ton of magazines here, so stoked that I got a ton of magazines. Now I got to sort through them. I'm finding out that some of these magazines, some of the older ones, you know, they're gonna have more of the paper, not the high glossy in them. So those probably will not be sacrificed for the project. And those are probably the more collectible ones, I guess. Anyways, so what I'm gonna do this evening is separate all the magazines. My OCD is gonna kick in, I'm sure. And I'll separate them by year, by brand. Most of them are hot rod, but some of them are street rodder. There's some more of the pinup type, the old school rods, like this one here. Quite a few of these. There's even some Corvette ones. I don't know, I'm not a Corvette guy, but Corvette news. So yeah, so I'm gonna start sorting them out, highlight some interesting covers or titles or something. Little tidbits like that, but yeah, let's get busy. All right, all sorted. Wow. I'm guessing probably between 400 and 500 magazines. These right here, these are the ones from the 60s, and these are all hot rod magazines, with the oldest one with the outer cover being 1952. And then these are like the late 60s. And then I kind of started getting a little bit more organized over here. So these back here are 1970, 1980, 71, 81, 82, or 72, 82, and so forth. It's kind of weird. I'm missing none from 1978. There's a void there. And then that would be 1979, and then 1989. I'm jumping over to here, 90 and 2000, 91 and 2001, and then There's no 92 to 92, 93, 91, 92, 93, 94. And then these are actually 96s. So about a 4-year stint of missing there, the 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, and then all the way up to basically 2006, and it starts to fall off with the one issue of a 2010. So what I am thinking is when I do my projects, maybe I'll do just cut all the clippings out of 1 year, and we'll do the 2006 hot rod resin table project. So I think I could theme it like that. So those are all the hot rod magazines. Then there's some random this one's kind of cool. This is never heard of this magazine, Gearhead, but I thought it has Alex Gambino on the cover, so he's still making cars to this day. And then you have a bunch of Corvette news. Not sure about those. But then this is what really gets me pumped, are these more of the car culture magazines. So here's a stack of Rod and Culture, a stack of Old School Rods, stack of Hot Rod Deluxe, a bigger stack of Rod and Custom, and then Car Culture Deluxe, and then my favorite from when I was a kid, Street Rodder magazine. I got 2 stacks. These are all in really, really good condition. And the thing about Street Rodder, why they were so my favorite, is because they have a ton of color pictures in there. So these will be great. Two kinds of classic truck magazines, a short stack of Hot VWs, and then some random one-offs. Super Chevy, American Rodder, one called Custom Rodder, 2 European magazines from 2010, and then a Rebel Rod. So all sorted out. Now I just need to kind of file them and put them away and figure out what comes next. So I got them all boxed up and cataloged, I guess. I put all the 60s magazine, hot rod magazines together. I put all the 70s hot rod magazines together, the 80s, and so forth. And then all of the other Rod and Custom type magazines, I left those out because I'll probably be starting to cut into those pretty soon. I pulled out 4. I got 4 magazines here that I'm gonna kind of thumb through, take a little travel in time. So let's check that out. All right, so I went ahead and pulled 4 of them, and this one's the oldest one. This was 1952. So let's just kind of flip through the pages and see what was going on in Hot Rod magazine in 1952. So the paper is not it's a strong, it's like a waxy paper. It's not like the pulpy paper. So it's probably good quality for back then. So they got an editor's column. I'm not gonna take time to read this. Basically just kind of look at the pictures, maybe check out some of the pricing and I really dig the advertising, you know, just the different styles of advertising. I mean, that's a cool ass logo there. Looks like they had Stroker McGurk. I kind of remember that as a kid. Comic. They were doing mailbox back then where they would post your mail. Edelbrock Speed Equipment, 1950, what was it? 1952. Dunn Engineering. The mile meter is a great It's one of the most important instruments that you can install in your car. It's the only gauge on your dashboard that can tell you how your engine is performing and whether or not you're getting maximum mileage out of every gallon. Don't throw rocks at your Rocket. So the Rocket Olds 88 engine, definitely a powerhouse in 1953. What do we got here? Santa Ana, California drags, boost car speeds. Roadster Show Review. The Oakland display features wide selections of West Coast finest hot rods. Pretty rad. I'm gonna flip through these a little bit quicker. Got a little Jeep action going on. You gotta recall, this is 53. Hot rodding became, it's at its peak in the late 50s, early 60s. And then all these Jeeps were what all the hot rodders drove over in World War II. So, Hot Rod of the Month. That's pretty rad. You got some, looks like what, strong four carburetors, single barrel carburetors. Marvel Mystery Oil, that's still out and about. Sex Sells ad right there. Some racing goggles. Worn full wind and sun protection worn over glasses. Weber Cam ad. Tall Timber T truck, a little hot rod Model T, got a 32 grill. Zeus anteater. All right, so that was a quick turn through that one. Then I went ahead and pulled this one out. This one's from the 70s, actually March of 1970. The reason I picked this one, because that's the year I was born. So let's see what was going on in the Hot Rod magazine in March of 1970. First off, it cost 50 cents. Fold out there. That's a cool little ad. Trans Am Pontiac announces the beginning of tomorrow. All new Firebirds. Traeger wheel ad. There's some high-tech shavers right there for 1970. Hearst getting in on the action. Motorcycle, Kawasaki. Eight-track, $99.95. Complete 8-track stereo tape cartridge system for only $29.95. Choose your first 3 cartridges now. Oh, this is a Columbia house, so you would subscribe. Edelbrock, still going strong. Holley Dominator. We just built the 9-second carburetor. Formula V. So you got motorcycles, you got Formula V. Chevy's new 370 horsepower 350. Perez 1970. Drag racing article, tech article, coking on the hot rod action. You don't see that one anymore. Another motorcycle ad. What is this? This looks like the Harley Davidson outperforms. What is that? Ligero for 1970. Harley Davidson. I was not aware they built a bike like that. That's pretty rad. Duster. Motocross, even in a hot rod magazine. Wow. I know that motocross was just taken off in the early 70s. That's cool. Funny Girl. I think that was an article that was ongoing. Another motorcycle ad. Olds. Oh, that's rad. Look at them pants. Those are rad. Muffler ad. That's a cool logo right there. Javelin. Another motorcycle ad. Wow. Army ad. VW wheel adapters from 1970. That's cool. Got a little fin look to them. Triumph article. I guess motorcycles are just getting super popular. That's a cool looking ad. Keystone wheels. Power steering for Jeeps article. Oh, there's a little Deuce Coupe right there. That's pretty cool. Hooker headers. Buggy action. Airlift springs. Those guys are doing the bags for all the trucks still. Wow, they've been around a long time. Look at those pants. Mini Moto Nationals. That's pretty cool. Uphill and down go mini racers at Saddleback Park special quarter-mile course. So Saddleback Park was a BMX track as well back in the early 70s. Rocket wheels. Superior wheels. Richard Petty. Carter carbs. Oh, let's see, they got some cars for sale here. So let's see what this one, here we go. 31 Model A, 283 Chevy, 327 heads, Edelbrock, Olds rear, immaculate, 3,500 invested, asking $11.95 for a hot rod. How cool is that? '56 Chevy, 2-door sedan, Ford 283, buckets, airlifts, Hurst 3-speed, Suntac, new mags, $8.95. Got the guy's name, address, and phone number. Wow. All right, so that was 1970. And then I pulled this one out because that's the Eliminator Coupe. That's the street rod that inspired me to get into, I don't know, I was 13 when that car came out. So this must be a 1983 magazine. So yeah, that changed the game. So let's see what's going on in 1983. I was 13. This is when I was super into cars and stuff, just waiting to turn 16. Cigarette ad. That's one thing I noticed too, was a lot of cigarette ads in the 80s. New stuff, hardcover, detection, protection, a radar system. Wow. That's pretty cool, Judge. Another cigarette ad. Little tech article. What's this? The Hot Rod Workshop. Putting your workshop together on a shoestring. That's kind of cool. Overhead cable lifter. That's pretty rad. Kind of got some carts here. That's cool. Another cigarette ad. "14-second 4-banger. What is that? Thunderbird. Oh, we're in the 80s now. That's right. There you go, 57 sedan delivery. Unassembled short block, 427, $12.99, 1983. Look at that guy. Kraco. Damn near everybody had a Kraco. They ended up being a, you laughed if someone had a Kraco in the late 80s. It was like a joke. Alpine and Kenwood all came out and we made fun of people. What is that, a Kraco, when they bought an off-brand stereo? Jensen speakers. There you go, Pioneer. That was top of the line back then. Whole article on car stereo systems. Bose getting into the game. 1983. JVC. Kenwood, and the Den chassis. So before the Den chassis, you had the knobs, young guys. Ooh, there it is. Everybody knows this car, these guys. I had a photograph given to me as I think it was a Christmas present. It was blown up. I believe it was like bigger than an 8x10. I guess that would be like a 11x17. But back then in '83, you just didn't take it with your phone. You actually had to have the camera and everything else. And my sister-in-law got me that. I thought it was the greatest gift ever. I had it in a frame in my room. 50 Oldsmobile, they don't get any cooler than that. America's Truck. Oh shit, I remember this car. So the collages that I do, I also, when I was a 13 or 14, I cut up magazines, and I had one. I just remember specifically, I did it on a poster board. I had it hung up on my wall, and I know this car was on it. This one, and I remember a yellow 40 Ford underneath a tree. So another cigarette ad. No wonder I didn't start smoking when I was 13. Another cigarette ad. Wow. Fiero. That was like mind-blowing when those came out. Motorcycle. Canadian. Oh, that's a whiskey. It's a whiskey ad. And another cigarette ad. All right, that was the 80s real quick. And then I have one more if you're still here. I pulled this one out because this one caught my attention, and I'll probably go in deep on this one, but this was the, and this is in a great condition. January 1998, so 50 years of Hot Rod. So I'm assuming Hot Rod magazine came out in 1948, if you do the math correctly. So this one really caught my attention. So 1998, I thought Plymouth Prowler came out earlier than that, but maybe not. Those things still pretty cool. Take those bumpers off. Well, the reason I wanted to skim through this one, we're still doing cigarette ads in 1998, big ones. The reason I wanted to do, what the heck, Chevy logo, that's crazy. Let me show you. These will be some great cars to cut out for the resin projects. Ooh, cigarettes again. Hot Rod Power Tour. Just want to do that one of these days. All right, so this is why I wanted to pull it out, because it's like the history of hot rodding in one magazine. So they talk a little bit about in the beginning, you know, just kind of how the scene started. So I'm going to definitely read into that. And then they have this whole thing up here, the top 100 hot rodders. So the people that really set the tone for the scene. Keith Black, a motor builder. I've heard that name before. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading all of this. Another cigarette ad. 40 Ford. That car, seen that car a million times. I'm sure there's some stuff on all the drag strips. That would be cool. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading these articles. That's an iconic car right there. That's an iconic picture. And then they break it down by the decades, you know, what was popular in those particular decades. So they have the 60s, it was called the coming of age. And then the 70s, a decade of shame. Holy shit. That's funny. Hot rodding took a turn. Remember we were going through that 70s magazine and they're talking about motorcycles and all that type of stuff. So that'll be interesting to read that about the 70s. Let's see what they said about the 80s. The 80s is when actual street rodding came out. Okay, so yeah, so look at the style. Bright yellow, it's just that different 80s. It just looks like the 80s, this page. Decade of style. Wow. Street rod. And then the 90s, duty now for the future. In the beginning of the 90s, hot rodding was stuck in a rut. The pro street movement was going strong, but not evolving. Although plenty of unusual creatures were still being committed to our collective memories. Okay, so just talk a little bit about pro streeting. But then, that's when the mini trucks and stuff started taking over. Mini trucks, the Volkswagen scene just completely blew up in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. That's probably why the hot rodding was in a rut, because of the mini truck scene and the Volkswagen scene. That's the direction I went in that time. And then now we're getting into those major catalog advertisings. It's kind of changed. I remember that article. That's probably one of these Street Rodder magazines. I hope that was a sick ass car right there. Well, that was a little journey. Thanks you're obviously still here. Thanks for going through that with me. I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of cool to see, the history of hot rodding and the history of advertising, all that type of stuff. I just briefly went through that. That's shit that I really, really like. If you want to see what I do when I start cutting these magazines up, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll see how crafty I get with these things.